The persecution of Paul Manafort.
Mr. Reagan.
Donald Trump needs to do two simple things right now. One, end the investigation. Give them 2 weeks. And two, pardon everyone. The Mueller investigation has been going on for over a year. That means that these guys are either utterly incompetent or else there's nothing to find. It needs to end. It's been a nauseating distraction for too long. Donald Trump needs to write Jeff Sessions and Rod Rosenstein a letter. Then he needs to announce to the American public in an address from the Oval Office that the letter has been sent, that Mueller has 2 weeks to wrap up the investigation and to present his evidence to Congress, to the President, and to the American people. And if not, he and a comprehensive list of others involved in the investigation will be fired. Maybe this looks bad, but I don't care. It's the right thing to do. Sometimes the right thing to do looks like the wrong thing. The press is going to go crazy, but that's okay. The press goes crazy over Trump's diet. If he makes a typo, they go nuts. Paul Manafort is being tried for money laundering starting this week. He supposedly laundered $30 million for Ukrainian politicians, not Russian, Ukrainian. The media are saying pro-Russian Ukrainians to try to maintain the Trump-Russia treason narrative. The Manafort trial is, very obviously, an attempt by Robert Mueller to get Manafort to flip on Trump. Like, we'll prosecute you until you give us the information that we want, or until you invent the information that we want. But until then, we're going to go forward in prosecuting you. We're going to throw the book at you. We're going to use every legal means we have at our disposal to make your life miserable. This is corrupt third world dictator politics, using the justice system as a weapon against a political opponent. This is in the same vein as murdering your political opponent. It's the same kind of tactic that was being used during the Obama administration with the IRS targeting of conservative political groups. You remember that? Yeah. Pure corruption. Now, here's the crazy thing. If the laundering allegation is true, Manafort would have been an incredibly valuable person for the CIA or other investigative branches of the federal government to use to investigate corruption within the Ukrainian government. Evidence about this could have been invaluable to U.S. interests, but they have dismissed that opportunity to instead target Donald Trump. You know, perhaps Manafort was a willing participant in money laundering. Perhaps he was not. Look, Russians and Ukrainian officials, often tied to Russian and Ukrainian mafias, can be extremely dangerous people. It is possible that Manafort was working with them out of fear. Whether he was forced to work with them or whether he did it of his own volition, out of greed, either way, prosecuting Manafort in this very public way utterly diminishes the amount of useful evidence that could have been gathered about these Ukrainian guys. Had Manafort been approached privately and had the investigators worked with Manafort against the Ukrainians instead of against Manafort to get to Donald Trump, we could have been sitting on a human intelligence windfall. But going after Trump, these investigators are attacking the American president instead of possible U.S. enemies abroad. And the press still thinks it's Trump who's working with the Russians. Come on. So I say pardon Manafort. In the same Oval Office public address to the American people, announce the pardon of Manafort and whomever else has been persecuted by the Mueller investigation. If it's all ending in 2 weeks anyway, it won't matter. They either have the goods on Trump or they don't. 2 weeks will give them time to collate their paperwork and write up a final report of all their findings. The truth is, Donald Trump is benefiting the US in so many ways that it's causing severe cognitive dissonance with leftists. It's Trump derangement syndrome. The left is so confused by their confounded expectations, predicting failure at every move, every tweet, constantly deriding, ridiculing the president, that they cannot understand how he succeeds in spite of these predictions. You know, it's almost as if they see the world in a distorted way, in a way they want to see it, in a way that doesn't actually exist. A fantasy world, one might call it. And their predictions are based on the parameters that exist within that fantasy world. But we do not actually live in such a fantasy world, and so all of their predictions, all of their expectations are confounded. It's almost like that. The left wants to take down the president in any way they can, and that, I think, is more treasonous than any imaginary Russian collusion nonsense the left has dreamed up. You remember Covfefe? The president sent out a tweet about a year ago with a baffling typo, Covfefe, and the world went crazy ridiculing him for this typo. I love Covfefe. I want to have a Covfefe t-shirt that just says Covfefe on it. It was the best new word of 2017. You know, there's no definition of Covfefe as far as I know, so I am going to invent one. Covfefe is the... Covfefe, adjective, relentless awesomeness, consistently defying expectations in a positive way, especially when that awesomeness infuriates your enemies. Dude, President Trump, he's so Covfefe. Yes, he's Covfeffing awesome. I hope the Oxford English Dictionary is listening. Alright, well that's it for me. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe. And if you hate me, go feff yourself. Good night.
I, Gerald R. Ford, President of the United States, do grant a full, free, and absolute pardon unto Richard Nixon for all offenses against the United States from July 20, 1969 through August 9, 1974.